Welcome to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. This show is about Plymouth County real estate. We're reporting on the recordings at the Registry of Deeds for March. I have a great guest on the second segment of the show, Elizabeth White, who's the new Assistant Register of Deeds. And then we'll be talking about some of our great Plymouth County and Plymouth Colony history. So let's go right to the numbers. You're going to see an image of deeds. Deeds are sales of property. As you can see, there were 464 deeds recorded in March, more than the 421 in February, 9% less than last year's 508 deeds. But year-to-date, we're up 4%. The average sale price for the month of March in a very diverse county was $654,471. So you're going to see an image of all of the sales in unit deeds recorded against the communities in Plymouth County. There are 27 communities from Abington to Whitman, and as you can see, Plymouth and Brockton record the most documents. However, every community has had recordings. The next image you're going to see is of mortgages, because between deeds and mortgages, we can track pretty much the pace of our real estate market. There were 1,030 mortgages recorded in March, more than the 847 in February, and year-to-date, we're up 12%. And that's a sign that hopefully will continue. So we've always tracked foreclosure issues since the meltdown in 2008. And we do that through tracking foreclosure deeds and foreclosure notices. There were only 11 foreclosure deeds in March, more than the 6 in February. During the COVID period, there was a moratorium on recording foreclosure deeds and notices. And the lenders really have not caught up. So with 39% less than last year and 39% less in terms of deeds from last year, the next image you're going to see is a foreclosure notice. And there are more foreclosure notices than foreclosure deeds. A foreclosure notice is the first document we see at the Registry of Deeds that identifies someone in trouble. There were 42 foreclosure notices in March, more than 35 in February. And year-to-date, however, they're down 20%. But if you find yourself in difficulty, don't wait. Reach out to a federal housing counselor as soon as you can to try to modify your loan. So there's a listing of foreclosure deeds and orders of notice for each of the 27 towns. And as you can see, there's still a lot of zeros there. But again, if you're facing difficulty, we're seeing more and more foreclosure sales coming across, and you need to be aggressive with your property and try to solve that problem. So we have a free property fraud alert I always want to make people know about. Property fraud is a big concern in the public. It's not as prevalent as you might think from some of the advertising that is out there. However, if you go to our website, PlymouthDeeds.org, and go to resources, there is something called fraud alert. So if you sign up with your name and your email, anything that gets recorded, you'll get an email. And you can decide whether it's something that should have gone on record, like a mortgage discharge, or something that you want to pay more attention to and come to one of our offices or our customer service operation to figure that out. Also be aware there are scams out there, people trying to get you to pay $75 or $100 for a copy of your deed. You can get one for $1 a page at one of our satellites in Plymouth, Brockton, and Rockland, or through our customer service office. They can email you one or send it in the mail. Don't get caught up in those tricks. I have a great guest coming on in the second segment of the show, our new first assistant register, Elizabeth White. We'll see you then. Welcome back to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. In this segment of the show, we've always done something educational in nature, from surveyors to appraisers to real estate closing attorneys to home inspectors and a lot of realtors. My guest on the show today is our new First Assistant Register of Deeds for Plymouth County, Elizabeth White. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Happy to be here today.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm glad you were able to join me. I think it'd be nice to share with our viewers a little bit of your background, how you came to be working in real estate.
Absolutely, yeah. So I started my own private practice in 1998. I was in Boston for about a year and then moved down to the South Shore. I started doing real estate conveyancing work in 2000, worked for two mortgage companies, worked doing real estate for a number of years, and then did a lot of probate work. Mm-hmm. And my probate work actually involved a lot of real estate. I filed license to sell real estate and worked on estates that oftentimes held real estate. So been immersed in the real estate world for a while as a lawyer.
Yeah, so you're relatively new to the Registry of Deeds, but I do appreciate that you've jumped in right away on projects and you understood very clearly from the beginning what our role is.
Absolutely,
at the registry.
Yeah, absolutely. So our role really is to make sure that we run a department, an office that helps people with their real estate needs, that we preserve people's titles, that we don't record things that could get in the way of having a clear title. We assist the public, we assist a lot of attorneys, different mortgage companies. We record anything from deeds to mortgages to assignments to liens, and it's been interesting. I think that we provide terrific customer service. There was a family that came in this morning. They were looking for really a plot plan, a customer service. I brought them there. They were great. Again, the staff is top notch, and people serve with a smile, and you know, we have a lot that we do every day.
Yeah, I don't think people outside of our world know how important it is not just to record documents, but to keep things off title that may cause people that own the property further trouble down the road.
Absolutely, yes. And people do come in and they sometimes want to record something that isn't notarized properly. Right. Or
put a lien on somebody's property without authority.
Absolutely.
So a lot of the understanding is we record documents, we protect people's titles, and the changes over the years in technology has been phenomenal.
Yes.
That we have the ability to record over the internet for both one side of the registry, recorded land, as well as registered land, and all the work that goes into that by our staff is incredible.
Absolutely, yes. We get an awful lot of recordings called e-files that we e-file. We keep a list of all people who have signed up for our program.
So I know you're fairly new at it. What do you see from your perspective as a new face on the horizon, our biggest challenges going forward?
I think technology is ever-changing. So I think for us, it's to keep pace with the ever-changing technology, to have backup systems that might be in the cloud someday. Right now, we do microfilm. Again, the new technology, and everybody is willing to share, and it's a great group of people.
Yeah. So we will see going forward, there's some questions about who our recording software company will be over the next 10 years. That has changed in some cases, and other cases like us, we've kind of waited to see what evolves, because it's working.
Yes.
And, you know, some of the other programs that we have going on, like the transcription project of transcribing handwritten documents into typewritten documents, will be a great thing for people going forward, especially since they're not teaching cursive anymore.
Yeah.
And those futuristic things are things we always try to be aware of.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah, and the records that we have are amazing. I mean, that's another real
Yeah, Plymouth Colony Records.
treat of the job. Absolutely, John. Yeah.
Your predecessor, Timothy White, fell in love with the colonial records.
Yes, and he did a wonderful job. He really did a fantastic job, and it's amazing. You could get lost in the Plymouth Colony in the records room, and there's just so much to see and so much to learn. And I think I was telling you, we put one in the newsletter every month,
Right.
and I found one on one of the first town meetings. So town meeting is a form of government that we use still. In 1653, it was a town meeting, and it's just to see that in the records is amazing, really, to go back.
And once in a while, we'll have somebody that comes in and requests to see the original
Absolutely,
colonial
yep,
documents.
yeah. Paul Sullivan from Sullivan Tire visited
right.
us.
Came last month.
Yes, he was thrilled. He was thrilled to see it, and he was amazed at everything that we had there. So it was great, yeah.
So what do you think about your background? I know you're very patient, which is a great quality to have in our world, because we have people from the outside that try to get things on record, and we tell them, no, it doesn't meet the standards. And we also have to manage all the different personalities within our staff. And I know they're all dedicated workers, but sometimes those issues come forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think I really love people, and my law practice was about really helping people.
Yeah.
I did a lot of elder law and then real estate law, and I think that for first-time home buyers, often it's an overwhelming experience to purchase a home,
Right.
and you try to make them feel as comfortable as possible. And the same with the public when they walk in our building, and you try to direct them to where they need to be. And again, I think people sometimes have problems, and that come to us to help solve a problem.
Right.
And I think that's when we really shine, because I think our staff is patient. I think they're kind to people, and I think we really we go above and beyond to help people figure out what they need to do in order to solve their problems, if we can.
Yeah.
We can't solve every problem, and we have to be realistic about that. But most problems, I think, we solve most days.
But the biggest change that I've seen in our operations beyond electronic recording has been how people use our offices. Back before COVID, we would have 20 people in a day doing research. They made the adjustment, and at one point when I first got elected, many years ago, we had 63 people coming in on a day. Now, because it is all available over the internet, title examiners and members of the public and law offices have found they could just do it online and not have to come to the registry.
Absolutely. I do think most people do a lot of their work online. They run title, they record, as you said, with e-file. But our office is beautiful. I mean, I try to tell people that it's like a museum. You did a wonderful job with putting that office together. We have a lot of old records, and when you walk through, right through the front door, we have a lot of plaques that show the Kennedy House in Hull, different things that go back, to 1600s. We have displayed. It's a nice building. It's a nice office, and I welcome anybody that wants to come in and visit us. But I think that a lot of people are doing it online. I think that we have our regulars. A shout out to Howard, right? He's in the building a lot. I saw Howard this morning. Yeah, he runs title. Yeah, which is great. But more often there aren't too many folks that do come in, and it's too bad because we are a good resource if people want to come down and see. And when we do the Register on the Road, that's a great resource too. So I think that just going out and meeting people where they're at is helpful too.
So we've done 2 of those so far, right?
We have, yes. Yep.
For years, we've always tried to get out into the community, and the groups that probably are of the greatest demand in their requests are senior citizens, senior centers, and council on agings.
Yeah, and I think that it's important for us to be out in those communities because I think people worry about fraud, and I think that for so many people, their home is one of their biggest assets, and they want to know that they have done everything they can to protect it. So I think the fraud service and letting people know what they can do to sign up is helpful. And then the homesteads, which I think people are also, they take advantage of.
I think for the senior population, I think many of those are not savvy with how to search records.
Correct.
And so the fact that we go out into their community and show them what they should have and get them what they need is great. And the first couple, you've been very responsive to those people and
Thanks, John.
done a great job.
Yeah. No, I've enjoyed it, and I think again, it's part of what we do in our service to the community.
Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you would be back again. Tim was always my pitch hitter.
Okay.
Well, great.
Good to see you, John. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Register's Report. Again, my name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. I want to thank Elizabeth White for the great job she did in the second segment of our show in describing what it's like to jump into an ongoing operation. Thank God she had a lot of different background, including real estate, and she's, as you can see from her discussion with me, she's doing a great job. In the third segment of the show, we always do something a little lighter in nature. We talk about Plymouth Colony and Plymouth County history. We always talk about some of the holidays, beginning of April, April Fool's Day, Tax Day the 15th, Easter was the 20th, Patriots Day recently with the marathon and the early Red Sox game, the 21st. The 22nd was Earth Day. Easter, we already mentioned Easter, but Arbor Day the 29th. And let's go right into our Plymouth County notable records. So in relation to Patriots Day, we had a great story we've told over the years. There was a woman in Plimpton who joined up in the Revolutionary War cause after Lexington and Concord, which we celebrated this month. But she signed up to join the Army, and she dressed up and signed up as a man because they wouldn't have taken a woman. She said her name was Robert Shirkliff, and she signed up with the 4th Massachusetts Regiment, and she fought in the Revolutionary War for 16 months. She was wounded 3 times. She fought in some very famous battles in West Point, in Tarrytown, New York, and eventually was discharged by General George Washington. She later married a gentleman named Benjamin Gannett and moved to the town of Sharon. But her likeness in Plymouth County is still well respected. So much so, her picture is on the Plimpton town flag. There's a monument in her honor on Route 58 as you pass through the town of Plimpton on Plimpton Green. And in 1983, she was designated the official state heroine, still well known, well respected. So we talk about Earth Day, and there's a very famous event that happened in Plymouth County, and it resulted in a book called Silent Spring at the home of Stuart and Olga Huckins. It was a bird sanctuary at their home. They noticed there were a lot of birds and insects falling out of the sky to their death. They had a very good friend who was a learned author and a conservationist, and she decided to investigate this. Her name was Rachel Carson. So she discovered through her studies that fuel oil and DDT spraying was killing birds, bees, and other insects back in 1957. So she studied that, reported on it, and really called out those practices. She later wrote a book about the environmental movement, which eliminated DDT from our environment. That book, Silent Spring, is still a major textbook for anyone starting in the field of environmental science. Many people credit that book, Silent Spring, and the story of Rachel Carson, which at the time was very controversial, with the foundation of the environmental movement and with the establishment of the Environmental Protection Agency. She was a leader in what we would call climate change now. The next Plymouth County notable record, we're talking about Arbor Day, a very important day on putting trees up historically, so we figured we'd talk about one of our most famous trees called the Liberty Tree here in Brockton. The Liberty Tree in Brockton was at the home of Edward Bennett. He had a barn, a building, and a tree nearby. That tree became a beacon for people who were traveling north on the Underground Railroad. The tree was so big and bushy that people could use it as a marker and come to that tree, meet under it, and then be able to go into Edward Bennett's barn for protection before they went north to Canada. Those were called conductors, what Edward Bennett did, and they were helping people move north, and part of the freedom that we have in racial freedom across America because of the work that they did. And in the years prior to the Emancipation Proclamation in the 13th Amendment, many notable people would come and speak under that tree, including Frederick Douglass, an escaped slave who talked quite a bit about slavery. William Lloyd Garrison, who was also a famous abolitionist that came to that site. And so that site became so famous that that tree in the street was a beacon for many people. The street was later named by the city of Brockton as Frederick Douglass Way. The tree became damaged in a storm. However, there's still a plaque on Frederick Douglass Way, put there by the Brockton High School class of 1959, and there's a sapling growing a new tree on that site. And I want to thank Steve Bernard from the Brockton NAACP for working with me on that. And last but not least, one of our Plymouth Colony records. So from the Plymouth 400 several years ago, we partnered with the Plymouth 400, and we started sharing some of our great Plymouth Colony stories. So every month in our newsletter, we've added a story that is telling of its time. This past month in our newsletter, we included a story in a document from 1644, when a gentleman by the name of John Holmes sold a piece of land in Duxborough, now known as Duxbury, for 12 bushels of corn. Now, property values have certainly gone up since then, but it's a sign of those times, of how they bartered for things, because it really didn't have a solid money ability back then. They did some English shillings and things like that. But so I want to thank you for Brockton Cable Access for putting this show together. Mike Simmons helped me out today. Lorna Green and Christine Richards helped me put this show together, and Liz White for coming on the show. We try to share this information with people. For most people, your home is your most valuable asset, and so we will see you next month. Thank you.